Hi there, welcome again to Aaron's Wine Talk. Today we're going to talk of wine number 13, which is a white wine, which is a sparkling style of wine, which is something different in today's market. It was launched by the Italians, specifically by Sicilians, by a winery called Antichi Vinai. Antichi Vinai is based in Sicily, near the Etna, the foothills of Mount Etna, the volcano, and therefore those volcanic soils are going to give lots of minerality and complexity and terroir characteristics for the grape Nerello mascalese. Yes, Nerello mascalese is an indigenous grape within the Etna foothills, and it loves those volcanic lava style of soils. And you literally taste that minerality both for a white wine and also a red wine. Yes, Nerello mascalese is a black grape variety, and it makes a white wine. Yes, you can use black grapes for white wine, because if you skin a black grape or a white grape, the color is white. So white wines can be made from any style of grape. But red wines and rosés can only be made from black grapes because the color comes from the skin of the grape. So normally for white grapes, for these black grapes, they would press on arrival and the white juice comes out. But it's very important that the juice or the skins won't be over ripened. Otherwise you get out some color extraction and you can get out some rosé color coming out. It's like making an en blanc style of rosé. So the Nerello mascalese will be picked a bit early than usual. So they will be picked early like in August. And like that, the juice will be totally white. Still, you will extract that minerality coming from the soil. And Antichi Vinai wanted to create this something different. In fact, it is labeled as Neromosso. Nero means black. I think it's also coming from the name of Nerello mascalese. Nero for the black grape variety as well. Mosso meaning moving. Yes, because the winemaker wanted to create something different. He or she wanted to create a wine that literally is sparkling. There is that slight sparkle. It's more equivalent like to a frizzante rather than a spumante. A frizzante would be a slightly sparkling wine. And it is mosso, it is moving. Yeah, they want to create an aperitif style of wine. In fact, this is a non-vintage coming from 3 different years. It is Nerello mascalese blended with different indigenous Sicilian grape varieties. It could be that they have Grillo, Cataratto, Insoglia, and other styles, because that florality comes out and that spiciness comes out of Cataratto. But we don't know the grape mix as such. But definitely the minerality of Nerello mascalese comes out beautifully. Yes, Neromosso. So how do they create a sparkling wine like this? This is created in a special different way than usual. Remember, in the previous wines we've tasted a sparkling wine made with the traditional method. Now this wine is made with tanks, but there's no second fermentation. There's no sugar and yeast re-added to the juice in order to create a second fermentation. What happens is the first fermentation is in a normal stainless steel tank, and when there is a high level of residual sugar, which has not been yet fermented by the yeast, something like 80 to 100 grams per liter, residual sugar, that is transferred to a tank called autoclave. An autoclave is a tank used for making sparkling wines, where normally this tank will be covered. They are mainly done in Italy. And it is covered so that the CO2 does not escape, and this carbon dioxide gas will be absorbed in the wine, it dissolves in the wine, and it creates those bubbles, as you can see over here in the glass. The bubbles will be medium sized, not that fine, obviously. It won't be a traditional method style of wine, but believe me, it creates that something different. They wanted to create something that is moving with passion, moving with happiness and being together as a family or with friends, but to enjoy as an aperitif, something to drink before a meal. It's amazing because when you taste the wine, you get that sweetish feel, but then at the end, you get that bitterish feel of the minerality. So this wine is totally fermented dry. I thought it has been fermented sweet, but then when you keep tasting it, you'll see that this wine evolves. This wine really is something to discover, something easy, I think, to do. And literally, it was a fantastic idea for this winery to create the style of Neromosso, a black grape variety making a white wine, which the French would call a blanc de noir, a white wine made from black grapes. Yeah? So let's give a nice tasting note on appearance, nose, and palate. I can see on a white background that the color still has a green tinge, and that green tinge is still a sign of youth. That's good because this is a non-vintage wine and we don't know the vintage year as yet. So this means that this wine was just sold to the general public. This wine is imported by Ftira Wine Imports. Yes, he's a new small wine importer who brings in these beautiful Italian wines. And we have some more Sicilian wines and other wines to taste with you. We also have this black Nero mascalese that this winery has, Antichi Vinai. And I'm sure that red wine will be something interesting. This is the first time I'm tasting these wines. And literally, I would like to share this wine knowledge with you. Yeah, the wine knowledge of Sicily, the terroir of Sicily, the winemaking knowledge of Antichi Vinai, and the passion of Marlon Curti, the wine importer who imports this wine, who discovered this winery. And therefore, we have to thank him for discovering this winery to us. Yes, Marlon is a very new in importing wine, and he really has the passion to discover new things. And this is a fantastic idea to drink before a meal, ladies and gentlemen. I really do suggest this. On the legs, you can see they are very short, so that represents a low level of alcohol. Normally, when we make sparkling wines, the level of alcohol goes down, but it's not the alcohol that is what is important in sparkling wines. It is the acidity on the palate that literally will keep its freshness. That is the most important thing to preserve. This is fermented at very low temperatures, up to 18, 19 degrees fermentation. And then when they are transferred to the autoclave, the residual sugars will be fermented by the yeast. And therefore the CO2 will be trapped. They cannot go out. And they will dissolve in the wine, creating a mosso style, a movement style of bubbles. That would be considered more as a frizzante. Yeah? Well, quite interesting as a style. First time I've seen this technique. First time I'm seeing this style of wine, ladies and gentlemen. On the nose, immediately I get that minerality of nerello mascalese, stone, mineral, herbal elements, fennel, rosemary, sage, all the herbs that exist. Well, amazing. Thyme. Yeah, I do get thyme. No oak. This has not been done with oak treatment because the winemaker wanted to preserve the flavors of Nerello mascalese and the soil. The lava minerality literally comes out beautifully. I get that hint of peach, that stone fruit character of peach. Apricots, nectarines are present, ripe yellow apples. It shows this is a hot climate, not a cold climate. And yet, on the acidity, the palate will be still high. Wow. It's literally interesting, huh? So this has only primary characteristics. There's no secondary and no tertiary characteristics in the wine. So this wine is considered like a simple wine, but with that something extra of minerality. So it's not that simple as such. I think that the winemaker gave that level of complexity thanks to the presence of the soil. On the palate, let us confirm everything. Beautifully green on the color, as you can see, still signs of youth. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, this acidity level is so mouth-watering. I love that mineral and stony character. I can taste stones. The Italians would call it piedra. And you would just literally taste the lava soils of Etna. It's totally dry. You get that hint of sweetness, as I said, coming in. But then you say, no, this wine is fermented dry. It has that bitterish aftertaste. It shows off that minerality coming in. The body is quite light, a light-bodied style. So definitely fantastic as an aperitif and fantastic to drink with canapes or salty items of food like carpaccios, because the acidity is going to cut the saltiness in the food. Even with olives, this would go fantastically well, even stuffed olives, because the old saltiness of olives will be cut by this level of acidity in the wine. And it's unusual in such a hot climate. But remember that the Etna is a very high mountain, and therefore with altitude you still get good levels of acidity in the wine. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason for everything on why you have that color, why you have that nose, and why you have those acidity or flavors coming out. Yeah. On the palate, it's the same as the nose, I would say. Peach, apricot, nectarine, stone fruit character, minerality of stones, flinty a bit, lava character, and that long finish, well, let's say medium plus finish on the high side that lingers on the palate. I still get that minerality taste coming out after talking about 3 minutes and after tasting it. And literally this wine, I think, is considered like between a simple and a complex style of wine. So I think this wine is very good as a style. It's a mid-range style of wine, so it's quite affordable as its cost. And I think that Antichi Vinai had done a very good job to create this Neromosso non-vintage at 11.5% alcohol from Ftira wine imports. I think this wine can age for another couple of years, but not more, because the wine doesn't have so much body. It's a light-bodied style, very good for aperitif, but with not to be drunk for further years. But I think it's a fantastic idea that this winemaker created this style of white wine from a black grape variety like Nerello mascalese. I hope you enjoyed this talk. We will go very soon for wine number 14. So yes, we are really keeping up with this quarantine level, and I hope that these talks literally help you to kill the boredom of quarantine. Enjoy your wines at home. Thank you very much.